Hey, this is John F. Murs, author, actor, and owner of 1021 Studios, and you're listening to Citywide Blackout.
Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Max Bowen.
And I'm Curtis Hughes. Max, how's it going today, pal?
Curtis, it is going very, very well, man. How about yourself?
I've got the jitters. I've got something going on. I can't tell you what it is exactly. It might be the 18 cups of coffee I had today, or maybe, just maybe, it might be the guest that we have on tonight.
Yes, but Curtis, I got to warn you, before we get rolling here, our guest wants to do nothing more than punch you in the face with music.
Music.
All right. We are joined by the New Hampshire-based band Robotic Hawks. Guys, welcome to the show. It's great to have you all here.
Thanks for having us.
Yay.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank
Big
you.
fans.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate that. And I will, of course, folks, we're not just going to say the band. Singer and bassist Tyler Pollard, drummer Brian Sturk, and guitarist Shawn Doherty. This band's very, very well known within, I would say, the whole New England music scene. If you ever been to a show in the area, likely you have seen or heard of this band. You know, to kind of kick this whole thing off, I want to ask just about the band's origin, because we love hearing about band origin stories. How did Robotic Hawks come to be?
I'll start. Basically, it was a Craigslist formation. I moved from Boston to Lowell to start a family and kind of unplugged from the Boston scene. And, for all the years I was in Boston, I kept working with different combinations of the same people, And when I moved out to Lowell and kind of retired, I just saw those people a lot less. And then I found myself, we moved to New Hampshire because our kids were, starting school. We wanted them in a little bit of a safer environment than the busy grid streets of Lowell. And after we normalized here in Lowell, I started hitting Craigslist because there was just nobody that I was going to be able to bring up to New Hampshire. And I certainly couldn't keep going into Boston for rehearsals, a couple times a week or anything. So this was the route I took. I met Brian right away. He actually lives about 4 or 5 miles from me here in Hudson, New Hampshire. And our sons are in the same grade and go to school together. And it was just very, very funny. We hit it off. We both immediately wanted to do the exact same thing. We of the same age. Brian's a year older than me, 52, 53. And then we reached out to find somebody else. And really, we had one guy before Shawn. And Shawn came in, and it was just the right fit immediately. I mean, not just because of the haircuts, but just with what we wanted to accomplish together.
I was going to say, you guys definitely have a look going on here.
Oh, there's an exception, though. There's an exception. I'm like the Frank Beard of the group. I don't wear glasses.
Oh, okay.
So I was going to ask that you brought that up, actually, because I was like, you know what? These guys have a look. They're all similar. It kind of reminds me of ZZ Top and a Devo thing going on. What is happening here?
And Brian's actually the hippie of the band. He usually leaves the hair in the back a little longer than both of Shawn and I do.
He's doing a skullet.
Skullet.
To address that really quickly, it was something that, at first we're like, everybody was calling attention to, like, oh, you guys related? Are you brothers? And, it just wasn't something we were thinking about because we're just in the same position in life and we're stuck with each other. So if we eventually had somebody say, you guys need some kind of gimmick or some kind of outfit. And that's what led us to start doing the short sleeve shirt, black tie thing to kind of, just play into that visual a little bit, but also kind of as a red herring. People think they know what they're going to get when they see these three similar old guys with, dumbass shirts on, and it had to be short sleeve shirts because they're just that much more insulting, but that's kind of the joy of this band as well, is that, we kind of aren't what you expect the minute we hit a note.
I think a bartender once said that we looked like hard rock Mormons.
That is a great gimmick to go with, hard rock Mormons. It's a little late now. We're talking about 6 years into the band, but if you ever want to do a shift, hard rock Mormons, it could work.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do a promo play about it, so with this could work too.
Yeah. They seem kind of litigious.
I don't mind borrowing a bunch of their audience. That's fine.
Yeah, really. Exactly.
I'll take a few of those.
Exactly. Yep. So where did the name Robotic Hawks come from? Because I absolutely love that band name.
Good. So there's two layers to this story. The first is that the original name Shawn wanted was the Carmine Raguzas, right?
Yeah, we kicked around that one, and
something about a wrestler too.
Yes. What was his name?
I don't know. I don't know wrestling. I don't remember. He ate sandwiches. You said big on eating sandwiches.
The Don Moroccos.
The Don Moroccos. Right.
That's right.
But that was just kind of getting started, and then eventually I came up with I wanted to be the Hudson Hawks because I love the stupid Bruce Willis movie, and I thought it was clever. I wanted to be something visual, and I wanted something unique and local and telling, and there was actually a Hudson Hawks band already. So then I'm like, well, I like the Hawks part of it, so let's kind of start some combos. And then we just ended up with Robotic. I liked that it lent itself to visuals and a strength, and didn't really tell you much about what we are other than it had to be powerful, right? Now, the second layer of this is that I did not realize how the name sounds out loud if you say it fast.
That was the first thing.
Me too.
That's the first.
Me too. That was always.
I just caught it.
So it's jokey in that regard, but I was the only one that didn't know, and I didn't pick it because of that. So you have to make an intentional pause from Robotic Hawks.
Yeah.
And you did a great job, Max. You opened it perfectly, but you didn't. It's because you're not thinking about it. But now that you're thinking about it, you're never going to be able to say it with ease again.
Nope. I'm gonna totally say the other way, just intentionally. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So it's funny when we hear us on the radio and they hit it hard. They're like, Robotic Hawks.
I laugh every time, man.
And you realize that they don't know it. You're reading it on paper. You're not connecting it. Sometimes when you say it out loud, it connects. But ultimately, it's kind of a bummer because I certainly didn't want to have like a jokey name. It wasn't the intent, and it's almost like you would think it would have to be. It's so obvious now, right?
I'm totally the opposite because I the Steely Dan thing,
Right, that's totally why I like it.
Yeah.
It sounds like a 13-year-old named our band.
Yeah, really. The Robotic Hawks.
It's kind of clever, though. I feel like it's clever.
I like it. I imagine that.
No, I was just gonna say I'm in Tyler's court on this. I didn't even think of it until it was said. And now that you mentioned it, you can't unthink it now.
Nope, it's over. I've lost it. It's over. I mean,
and there's always that moment. I don't want to start this conversation with people, because now I'm putting it in people's heads, but I'm always expecting that they're going to say it anyway because I'm the only dipshit that didn't get it. So it's going to come out. So I might as well just address it head on. But then I have these situations with Curtis where he's like, oh, now it's ruined.
And I cannot hear it any other way because I only
that was a nice double pun there, by the way, whether it was intentional or not, Tyler.
Yeah. Because I've only ever read the name. I think this is actually my first time saying it out loud, and I realized, oh crap, you're right, Robotic Hawks.
Mm-hmm. Work on the pause.
Exactly. Robotic Hawks. That's who they are, people. That's who they
Yeah,
are.
enunciate that H. Get that H in there.
Exactly.
They're the Hawks of robots, or Robotic Hawks, folks. Robotic
Yeah,
Hawks. Okay.
I'll refer to as, I get to shorten it often. I'll go ask the Hawks.
There we go. There we go.
Avoid it.
So let's talk about real quick, guys, of what led you guys all together besides it being just a Craigslist ad. What were the bands that were like that you were in before this one got together? What drew you guys? How was that ad written up? Like, give us the whole story. What's going on?
I think I could probably talk a little bit about that. So the Craigslist ad that Tyler's talking about, I had posted. I had been looking for a while to join a band, and I was seeing nothing on Craigslist, seeing nothing but metal bands and cover bands and stuff like that. So, and I put my influences on there. I think I put on like the Pixies, Cheap Trick, maybe the Replacements, and Elvis Costello. And that, I assume that's what got Tyler's attention, the bands that I mentioned. So, and he's kind of in the same place as me as far as that type of music. Like, what we wanted to do was kind of like this pub rock, high energy, sweaty rock and roll, like the Pretenders, Joe Jackson, Replacements, stuff like that. And I feel like we've come pretty close to that. I feel like we've evolved a little bit, but that's kind of our sound. It's a little bit more pop than that, and a little bit more, it's not as rough around the edges as that, but it's pretty close to what we were trying to do.
Yeah, I think within all of that, I think we did build what we wanted to build, but we allowed it to have a natural personality with the three of us. So I like that that's how it's turned out, because, I mean, don't get me wrong, we're confusing to categorize, I think.
Mhm.
But I think we're a rock band that uses every tool in the box.
In the rock toolbox. Got it.
And I think that's kind of the funny thing is that, to me, it feels very modern. What we're doing, it feels very contemporary to who we are and what we're going through in life. But it's kind of referred to as retro often. People are like, oh, you guys are like, you like the music I loved in the 90s or, mid 2000s. Yeah, I get what you're doing. And that's not what we're doing, but that's how it comes across to people. Like, it's kind of a celebration of a time period. People referred to us from our Rumble set that we reminded them of Sugar. And actually, that's the one that I kind of liked the most, that's the closest that I'll allow for a description that I think it makes sense. If I was in an audience, I'd probably hear that too about us.
That's probably one of the other ones we've been referred to. We've heard like Foo Fighters and Guns N' Roses. Can't go wrong with Sugar.
I could definitely see Foo Fighters, actually. Yeah. Foo Fighters makes sense. I could definitely see that.
So the funny thing is that I think that we're trying to write pop music that can be delivered sweaty and sloppily. But within that, people are like, oh, you guys are a punk band. I hear it. And that's not something that we would ever call ourselves. But time and time again, people are like, oh, you guys are just a punk band. Like, are we? Like, well, you're playing, pop songs really fast. So that's punk. But we're not. We have no punk ethos about us. So I don't like that at all.
Yeah, no, I mean, I wouldn't think punk. Maybe like a little bit of punk, like just like a smattering of punk, but not a strongly punk band.
I mean, there's a violence in the way we play.
Well, that's important.
But it's confusing too, because it definitely has made our bookings challenging. Because we're not a metal band, and we're not really a hard rock band, and we're not a punk band. So finding the right niche has been a challenge. And I look at a lot of the pairings of people who are on punk shows in the region, and I wouldn't call 70% of the bands that are billing themselves as punk. So I feel like I could open a door if I just would allow myself to say that we have a punk energy, so it's okay for us to, invite some punk shows. And I'm not opposed to it, but I can't personally use that moniker with our music. So it's kind of proved problematic for me.
Curtis, sadly, to go back to the posting, when we met together and we all kind of came along these lines, we're all basically in the same boat. And like what Tyler is saying, like, we can't really categorize what we're doing. I'm cool with it because I think it's unique, and I think that, you know, we stayed true to what we wanted to do, and that sort of defied a lot of genres and a lot of styles, and that's why it was really difficult to find these people. And I'm so happy that I have, because we're all sort of like got that one vision, and that was the thing. I think that the original posting had some tough responses, and when I finally got to them, it was really cool. So I can't speak for how long, because I think I was the last piece in. But that post was, everything is, you know, punk or metal or whatever. And I really didn't want to do that. And so we just sort of, it was just blind luck, I guess.
Enjoying the podcast? Get even more of the content you love from artists around the world on Citywide Bites. Experience the show live on Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, only on Instagram. With our interactive short-form interview series, you can ask your questions and be a part of the action. Hosted by Max Bowen. And how did all the experience between bands for all of you help you guys when you got this whole project together?
Well, I'm the I'm the slut. I started in.
We didn't want to call you out, Tyler, but when we were doing research and looking at it, we're like, oh my God, this guy has a laundry list of like different things he's done. I got to ask.
Yeah. I mean, so I started in Boston in '95 with a band called the Doozies, and it rolled into all these other bands, the Control Group, Bradshaw, the Jack McCoys, the Bo Roland Band, which was a country band, and just various things throughout, you know, all these years in Boston. And for the most part, I always end up being what I call the dad of the band. You know, I'm not necessarily the creative guy per se with all the ideas, but I know how to organize and progression. You know, I know how to keep a band moving and progressing and making breakthroughs, you know, whether the people for people, you know, I'm good at reading everyone's parts and recognizing things that they may not be attracted to that has potential. So I'm kind of the musical director in that sense. That's the role I've always played. But I always wondered if it was because I was familiar with all those people that I was able to do it, or if it was something that I could do cold on the fly with people that I had to be careful with and didn't want to upset because I needed them. I didn't want them to leave me. They had no vested interest in spending time with me.
Thank God you do that, though, because that's something that I have no interest in doing at all.
Same here. Yeah.
And there's a very funny split of work and how we handle all that stuff. You know, so I mean, I may pick a spark to explore, but that's only based on whether I can sing over it and whether I think Brian is going to do something that makes it engaging and powerful. And then Shawn has to tell us why all those are bad ideas. So Shawn is really the education of the band. He's the one that kind of talks us into or out of good or bad ideas. And then I'm usually the one that pushes back and says, well, just because you can't do it doesn't mean you shouldn't. Let's try it anyway. Like if we all count and land here at the same time, it'll sound intentional. And, you know, so I'm the I'm the enabler of chaos in that.
Yeah, Tyler time, right?
Tyler time.
He has his own timekeeping.
Yeah.
Enabler of Chaos
he
is
does
an
all that
amazing name, by the way. Enabler of Chaos. That should be definitely on the business card.
Yeah.
That should definitely be somewhere.
Enablers of Chaos for your bar mitzvahs.
If you were ever going to go like the metal route, that would definitely be like the name to go with.
That's a metal name.
Yeah, it's absolutely a metal name. You can only like if you were to do like Enablers of Chaos, but it's like a pop group, you'd be freaking everyone out.
Yeah. Yep. You think we're hard to book now?
I know, right?
Yeah.
Impossible. Oh, man.
Did I finish that question correctly, Curtis?
You did. Yeah.
I think your experience in that realm was super crucial because we didn't have anybody to do that. So you do all that and you do the band dad and the pushing forward and stuff like that. And like you said, I'm the person that spent a lot of time just studying music and just learning music. And this is my first original project, but I've done some cover bands and stuff like that. So this is all new ground for me. So we're Tyler's correct in saying that I'm the person that's like, well, no, this is why you don't want to do that, and this is why you want to do something different, and then we kind of hammer it out, and it's really great because all three of us, come together from we have the same ambition and the same styles and the same likes and dislikes, but we all come at it from a different angle, so it's really cool.
And we write all kinds of different stuff, which is kind of what we were getting at before, is that as long as it's rock and roll, it can be anything. So I mean, we have a song right now that's, I think, a new shade of our rock. It's different than what we've been doing before, but yet I still think it belongs in the canon. So that's the cool thing about this, is that even though it's a decided direction, there's a lot of fluidity to what we call rock.
I think that's what I like about us, is that there's just something different in almost every song. It's like we're not doing the same thing every song, and if it sounds good, it is good. Just go with it and make something different, so that you're not just hearing the same thing for your 45-minute set.
Do you guys actually feel like you come together and write like all the songs equally, I guess is the way I'm trying to put that? Or do you have one person in the band that's more of like, I'm going to do the lyrics, and the other one's going to do more of the musicianship? Or like, how does that dynamic work between the three of you?
It starts in the room. Nobody comes in with an idea, really. It's allowed, but it's just not the way we've done it in the past. So our first album was written from the ground up. We all walked in and said, how do we do this? What does it sound like? And then we teased out music, and I led the songs that I thought I had potential to sing over, and then we crushed the ones that I didn't think I could work with. And those songs moved to the next, gate, and I start developing melodies over them. We tweak the music continuously throughout that. I write the lyrics and the melodies over it, at least for that first album. That's changed over the years. We can lend ideas to each other vocally and lyrically. I don't share well lyrically yet. I'm open to it, but I slave over every single word that it's hard for me to get ideas from them, even though I'm open to it. I haven't allowed it to happen yet. Sorry, guys.
I can't put words in your mouth anyway, so you have to deliver it.
I live by the sword, die by the sword, as far as my lyrics are concerned. Like, I can't blame anybody else other than me, and that's probably best for everyone. What I talk about, how I talk about it, it's complicated. But yeah, that's how if it doesn't happen, if each of us aren't invested in it, then it doesn't proceed. So if Shawn's like, I don't have anything for this, I don't think it's going anywhere, I don't think it's exciting, if he doesn't feel like he is getting as much out of an idea as either of us, it doesn't move forward.
Sometimes though, Brian saves most of it, because Brian will come in with a rhythm that, I think High Maintenance, I think you saved, Brian, because that was pretty much on the floor, and then you came up with the rhythm. So
I honestly don't even remember, but that has happened for some songs for sure, I think. But usually we're pretty good at this, at picking out what's working and what's not. And sometimes we'll drive things a little further, but that's usually with the covers. We'll be like, all right, like that Italian song, or like that soft rock ballad we were going to do. We know at some point to pull the plug if it's not working, but we'll usually find a way to make stuff work.
We had 2 failed covers that I was out of my mind to suggest, but they humored me for a few weeks.
I am a professional. I will take your idea and I will try and make it work as best as I can. But if it's just not going to happen, it's not happening.
What was the other one? Cool Night? I think it was Cool Night, right?
Oh, there's been so many. There was an Eddie Rabbit song.
Oh, right.
You might. So we went in the hole for COVID, and I think every band did. And we had some very, I don't know if they were alcohol and weed related thoughts that we could pull off some things, but we tried them, But as far as working stuff out in the room, yeah, Tyler does, I would say, almost all the lyrics. And I think I would have a tough time putting words in your mouth just because of the delivery and just because you've got to sing and play at the same time. So I would really be uncomfortable trying to heft something on you that would be putting you in a spot where you're not going to shine the best.
And that's fair. I mean, the truth is that if you evaluate my singing, like, it's a bit of a juggling act. There's rhythmic phonetics that I use and patterns and rhymes that like have a bounce. It's weird white man rap in a way, hidden in pop songs. So the cadence of how I do things is very important, and that's why the words are such a part of it, and they have to be the right words, and I keep changing words until it bounces correctly. That's hard for somebody else to do for me.
Also, he keeps his own time. He has his own time signature, so he has to do his own thing. So we just sort of, when a song gets going, we just have to be like, okay, we're in Pollard time now, so stop trying to get your head around when breaks happen. So
just go with the flow.
But it all works. I mean, the thing is that it all works. So it's like, as long as you're all committed to it, it comes off.
Yeah, it's got to feel right. And sometimes my stupid ideas, even though they look bad on paper, if they feel right, you know when it feels right. Sorry.
Well, you guys are definitely doing the right things from what we can tell.
Hey,
thank you.
No problem.
But I was going to say, the past, after the first album, that next string of songs that we did, the singles, those were done with Shawn and I together. Brian wasn't able to join us that year with family members and whatnot. And we were able to write, the two of us, and get demos done for when Brian could come back. So it kind of blew out our whole plan that we all had to be together to do this in order for us to feel like we were getting somewhere, or at least, working on chops. We took it as an opportunity, like, oh, well, maybe we are going to think out of the box. Maybe we are a writing team, and it did work well. But, once we return to normal, I'm not interested in doing that. But that's how we got through that COVID year, is that Shawn and I wrote together, and we tried to, write things that we could imagine Brian be able to do something with. So that was that was a big leap of faith to take for Brian, that we were doing stuff that he was going to like and make better, thankfully.
I think you were right, though. As a writing team, it's best as a team rather than a duo. And as much as we were able to get through some lean years, I need Brian there, because he's he brings it all together.
Yeah, and if I'm being honest, as proud as we are of the COVID singles, it's not really a true picture of what we do. We made the best of our situation, and we made great music, but that wasn't our design, that structure. And now we've returned. So high maintenance, it's EP, and from here on is back to business as usual and doing what we do as described.
So let's go ahead and kind of bring that back into the front fold here, I guess is what we'll say here. So new EP, All Business, released April 2024. How would you say that the band's sound now has evolved since when you started in 2018?
We got to give credit to Andy on that one. Yeah, I got to give credit to Andy King on that one, because he's our George Martin, I guess. Tyler works really great with a friend of his, Andrew King, who gets some really great vocal performances out of him. Handles a lot of producing duties and arrangings and stuff like that. So he's a great objective party to go to with our ideas. So normally we'll rack everything up, get some tracks down, and Tyler will go in with Andy and work on vocals, and then they'll come out that way. So bringing Andy into the fold more definitely evolved the sound from the original stuff, where we were all going in kind of green. And, we recorded the first album at Watch City Studios, and it was really us. That was just without any, I don't want to say without any help, because we obviously had help, but Andy was the guy that sort of like brought the next phase of that sound together. So that sound fair to you guys?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's an important thing that we almost didn't talk about. We're kind of two different bands, in that sense that, what we are in how we're going to move forward, and what we've done with my friend Andy is a different band, because, well, it's complicated, because I like the production of it, but we're still striving to get a good balance of natural and production power. I think there's a clarity to what we've done that is done its best to maintain the grit of the band, but it's definitely a little more produced than some of us would like. We're trying to get to a more natural sounding recording that sounds like what we sound like to us in the room. But it's an evolving process. We've done all that stuff in our practice space, which has made it challenging for the drums, and we have a great drum sound, but it's very far from what Brian actually sounds like. So we're trying to get there, but Andy's willing to do this with us, and he's got some skills, and he's helped us with our arrangements. So we do a lot of guitar layering. We do a lot of sections that, are featured differently than we sent them in. Vocal layering. I can sing, but I can't hear the melodies. I have to be shown the melodies. And my friend Andy is amazing. He goes, oh, you can do this one and this one and this one. And he walks me through them and gets them out of me. If I sat in a room by myself, I would never get it done. So it's enabled us to have the songs be presented in the best version of themselves. So we're writing as a band, but our recording aspect is we still want to present the song in a smart way, regardless of the band production, the band performance of it. Good songs.
He's like the Steely Dan to our Michael McDonald, really.
Yeah, I think the big moments for this evolution would be you have the first record, and then if you listen to the song You Hit the Spot, which is a Graham Parker cover, I think that's the biggest move into the newer sound. And then we've got this other EP that we released in April that is sort of like in that same vein, and it's two different bands, but it's all I love it. I'm happy with all of it.
So with that said, I think All Business is the closest we've come to that mission statement to kind of be presented as a airy, powerful pop band. We still think we have some ways to go with the recording process to achieve it, but this is the closest we've come.
Yeah, it's all progress. It's all, the best thing that we've done is the latest thing that we've done. So that's a good spot to be in, as far as I'm concerned.
Hey guys, what's going on? This is Brian Murphy from One Time Mountain, and you're listening to Citywide Blackout with Max Bowen.
Rock on.
And talk to us about the cover art for the EP, because I looked at that thing and I went, "Oh, that's genius!
It's very good, very cool."
So it's a friend of mine from high school. His name's Dave Santangelo. He's an animator, but he's an illustrator. So he does books, and he worked on home movies for a little while. I think he worked on SpongeBob for a spell. He's a really interesting guy.
Wow.
And he did the Minnesota Fats cover too, but that one was color. But then this one, I wanted to have a more militant approach. I wanted to kind of launch the visual of the shirts and the ties, since we are doing that more regularly in the shows. Just kind of tie it into the visual of the band. I just described what I wanted, and he sent it back like that. It was perfect. And I named it. I didn't have All Business until I saw the image. And then I saw the image. I'm like, that's the name of the EP. It's All Business. Look at them.
Definitely.
They're amazing.
Definitely.
That's the stuff that Tyler brings that you need somebody that's going to do all of those things. It's going to look at the art direction. It's going to look at like, well, I know a guy that does this, or even with Andy, I've got these connections and stuff like that. So coming into the band, he had all of this sort of established, which was great because, like I said, I don't want to do any of that. And he excels at it, and everything is great. So it was a great fit. And I think he likes to do it. I mean, I'm not speaking for you, but I mean, I think that's your thing. So
I do, and like, not to be a jerk, but I mean, it could be a real hassle. I mean, bands don't get along for things like that, and it's not that it's not that I'm hogging it. It's just something that you don't need to fight me over. So it just happens because if there was there's an unwritten rule. If anybody's unhappy with anything, they're not shy. They would tell me. So I move until they tell me to stop. And I work on whatever I can work on. And if offer to jump in on something, they let me know when they want to. So we are kind of lucky in that sense. And if you think about it, it's we haven't really had to do a whole lot of discussion to get it sorted out and moving, but people fight over that kind of stuff all the time.
What you have is a very, very good problem to have. Like I said, there's some bands that will like dissolve over coming up with a name for an album or this or that. So it's really nice when there's someone who says, yes, I will do all the things. And they'll say, awesome, you do all the things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, especially because, we are a band. I'm not like a singer-songwriter that just gets carte blanche. That's not the arrangement,
Exactly.
That's why I feel like I don't feel the pressure to come in with stuff. Like if we were going to do that, we'd just do our own solo albums.
There you go. All right. Well, now let us talk shows, because you guys have a bunch of really cool shows coming up. On September 20th, you'll be at a place that Curtis and I have been to many, many times over the years. It is
near to our hearts.
Exactly. This is September 20th at the Middle East Upstairs in Cambridge, Mass. I cannot tell you how many shows I've been to there, but the number is quite a bit. Move on then to the show on October 4th at the Shaskeen in Manchester, New Hampshire.
Yes. Yeah, we got a good run.
Yeah, definitely. And just like looking at the past shows, you've been all over the place. Any favorite venues that you just like love to return to?
I love the Middle East. That's my favorite place to play, just because of the history and stuff like that. It's just it's a really fun place to play. I mean, there's some down like that's really old, so the sound sometimes is terrible. The electrical is terrible, right? The stage is this dinky little thing.
Yeah,
but I love it there. I never get sick of it. I never get tired of it.
Absolutely. And it's probably the like the best place for parking too. And when you don't like live in the city, that is really key. But there's some great parking there.
Yeah, I've got Old Faithful. I've got a spot that I just.
Oh yeah,
I dream about that spot.
Yeah, there's a section. I won't tell you where because I don't want to give it all away to everyone else.
Yeah, no,
but there's
that's
a
fine.
section.
But you have an Old
venue that is just like always empty at night, and I'm like always parking back there every time.
It's probably the same spot.
Yeah, I remember there used to be this place near, actually, like right across the street from the Middle East. It was called Hi-Fi Pizza, and it was open to like 3 a.m. It was a place that we always went to after shows because, like, okay, the show's over. We're it's late. We're kind of hammered. Let's go get pizza.
Yeah, I always regretted their pizza, but I did it anyway.
I know, right? Yeah, it's like the next day, like
pizza.
Mistakes were made, but it's okay. At the time, it was actually pretty awesome. All right.
Yeah.
So aside from Middle East, any of the places that you just like love to kind of come back to?
Taffeta, maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Taffeta is. I guess there it's more about the quality. So and complete contrast to the Middle East. This is like a highly modern, like big stage, fancy lighting, great sound system. They got a backstage where you can set up ahead of time. Huge, amazing mixing board. You name it, they've got it there. So I kind of like that aspect too.
I'm more about the venues that I want to play someday.
Oh, okay.
That's
true. Go for it.
I mean, I'm really excited about the Press Room. That's been on the list for a while. I think Portsmouth rules. I think it's a cool room, and I think that hopefully it's the start of a relationship with Portsmouth. And I'd like to play Faces someday. We haven't had that opportunity. And my bucket list is Sinclair.
Mine's the Paradise.
Somebody.
Oh yes, yeah.
And the Paradise.
Paradise is mine.
Yes.
That's a little harder these days.
They don't do a lot of rock there anymore.
They don't do a whole lot lately. It's weird.
Yeah. Sinclair, I can recall when that place first opened. I remember like walking and thinking, "Oh, this is different. I like this. This is like massive place, massively like high ceilings." And I loved going to like the second level where you can kind of just see everything from like way far above. That was so much fun.
In some ways, it's what you want the Paradise to be.
Yes, definitely.
Great.
So we'll see. That's my dream.
Nice.
So this is going through the list of accolades and things that you guys have done here. And this year in 2024, you guys were actually named the Rock and Roll Rumble's Class of 2024. How did that go?
That went great. It sounds silly, but it was important to me. that this band got in that visibility. I feel like it's kind of an acknowledgement that your vessel is seaworthy, and we'd worked really hard to have a presentable rock band package. We've thought about it. It was where we wanted it to be, and we wanted it to be seen, and the Rumble lets you do that. So it was great, especially because it's what we wanted. It was cool because this was the second time I got to play the Rumble, and it was 25 years apart from the first time. So that made it very special for me. And, it came at a time when I could really get the most out of it, the Rumble. And I think as a band, we did. I went 8 out of the 9 nights, whereas they did not, the fellas. But but that's fine. This was my job. I was enjoying, meeting with the other bands, and I had a little contingency with people that were going every night. Mary from Roser and Carrie Ann from Skidmore. We went, had a great time watching bands every single night. So I got what I was looking for. I got a great experience with people who are doing what I do, who care the way I care, and want what I want out of a performer. And that was just a great vacation, a rock and roll vacation for a month. And I loved it. They got as much as they could and wanted out of it.
That's
fair,
what
right?
Another thing that
It's
you
an
bring.
endurance challenge, the Rumble. For those that don't know, it's quite a bit.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is. And I feel like getting named to like this class, nothing says I've made it like that. To get named to the class of pick a year with the Rumble, that is a sign that not only I think do you have a presence within like the New England music scene and as a whole, but that presence has been felt. Everyone's like noticing you too.
I'll be completely honest with you. I had all of that string of other bands that I'd mentioned after, the Control Group, and I was trying to get into the Rumble all those years. It's not something you just get.
Exactly.
Like, you know what I mean?
It's
you have
So
to
talk a little bit about that too. Go into detail, for there's a lot of listeners and a lot of folks out there that know about it but can't get in or haven't figured out how. How does that process work?
I mean, now it's a little clearer, but back in the day,
It's convoluted back in the day. You didn't.
It was really like just being plucked out of obscurity. There were criteria within house, but there wasn't enough communication for a band to be able to really identify, well, what would increase my chances. It felt like a crapshoot back in the day. But now, it's really about a visibility. It's about an image. It's about being on the airwaves, and
Playing
really
shows.
playing shows. Things that are easy to do, but sometimes the timing doesn't work out. You have to. I mean, it's a very specific requirement, but you have to be played on Boston Emissions within that year. So you have to have released music within that year, and she has to have been drawn to it for her show. So there is a part of it that it has to be flashy enough to get played, and that's what we did this year. And we've been getting a lot of airplay. We've had a lot of good luck in the past couple of years, but this was the timing for us. And I think it was a good maturity level of our music and our mission to have done it. I thought we were in peak form. We played the show that we've been designing since the minute we started, and we played it the way we wanted to. No regrets. We're like, that's what we are. We did it well. And that's what you want to feel at the end of the night on the Rumble, that you did it and you don't regret it, and it was the way it was supposed to be done. What if you
no regrets at all.
What if you screwed up? What if you had a terrible night and you're just like, oh, if I had just done this, or and you screwed, you dropped that. None of that. We all did it. It's great.
We had a really good night. It was a good lineup too. And not that there are bad lineups, but we had an exceptional lineup. And like Tyler said, some friends, we were on the same night as some friends who, Tyler's made some great relationships with those people. Again, another great service to the band that Tyler performs that I know I don't want to, as much as I love these people. He puts in the time and he puts in all of that. So thank you. Yeah.
So thrilling. And now we just move on and keep doing our thing.
It was a good night. I really enjoyed it. I feel like that night was one of our best performances, which is surprising. You'd think on a night like that, if we might not be able to hold it together or whatever, but I felt like we really were kind of extremely focused and put on what I felt was our best show, like performance wise.
So yeah, to get into it, I think just release music that people want to hear and get it to the right people and do it in a timely way.
So you guys have been featured on a tons of radio stations over the time that you guys have been together. Are there any stations that are on your bucket list that you haven't been on that you want to get on?
I would have said WBCN or CGY, but they don't exist anymore. But for existing ones, I don't know.
I mean, the underground garage, I suppose.
Okay. I mean, you could even go as far as, looking at like XM satellite radio or something.
I think we've been played on XM.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, so what's that? The Little Stevens underground garage?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he played security, and that was it. I think. So I've always kind of been like, I'll feel better when he plays us again, but he hasn't played us since our first single. And we've been on Rodney a couple of times, but he didn't play. He played High Maintenance, but he didn't play Fats, which was weird.
We've been played on the river too a couple times. 92.5 The River. That was my hometown station up from Haverhill. So that was kind of cool. Played on there.
That's probably the one for me too, Brian, because like that's like the hometown. If I could go back in time, 93.7 WCGY in Lawrence, that would be it. But I don't know. I mean, modern radio, it's such a weird space to be in. I think this is pretty cool.
Yeah,
I like what you guys have going. I don't know. I don't want to say I've given up on radio, but what do you got to say, right?
It's
I mean, nowadays everybody goes streaming anyway.
It's just like that changing like media landscape, and people kind of adjust. And people who did radio are now doing podcasts, so they kind of keep doing what they love to do.
Yeah. I like it. I like where it's going. I mean, I think that everybody's got the podcasts in the car. Everybody's got them, and, so it's like you're almost free. Like you're not there. It's just different. It's not better. It's not worse. It's just totally different. Exactly. It's still good.
Yeah, it's like when we went from like 8 tracks to cassettes to CDs to streaming. It's just a different format. Simple as that.
Yep, for sure.
All right. Well, folks, we are coming down to the end of this conversation, but of course, we're going to wrap things up with the big question: what is next for Robotic Hawks?
We got to string out some gigs for the next month and a half or so. I think we're going to start to get serious about writing and recording for the next release. I know I want to do another record. I don't want to do an EP, but that's going to take some commitment of time to do because we're all really busy. And like we said before, nothing really happens outside of the room. So we all sort of need each other. I need to write with them, with these two guys. So we need to get time together where all three of us are together to get that together. And we're also working on hammering out a workflow that is going to get our best representation of us, where we feel like, okay, this is what we really sound like, so there's no like, well, who the heck is this guy on this record? Because you guys, I come to see you live, and that's totally different. So I like to get closer to a more accurate representation of us and get some new music together.
That's pretty much it.
All right.
It's hard because you want to keep playing shows, but you don't get the time to work on new stuff if you keep saying yes to shows.
Exactly.
But it's a compulsion,
Right.
If it's a good show, I want to play it.
It's hard to say no. It's hard to say no. Like someone like reaches out, you like the lineup, you like the place, you think, you know what? We already have like 4 booked this month. What's one more? It's fine. No worries.
I can justify anything.
And the more you do it, the more people, the more friends and connections you make. So it's like, oh, well, so-and-so is doing this, so we got to do that. And you're like, all right, fine.
It's that much harder.
Exactly. Yeah. Play a good show. I'll be there. All right, folks. Well, that brings this episode to a close. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you to Robotic Hawks, Tyler, Brian, Shawn. Been love talking to you. We're loving the new album, of course. And folks, if you want to learn more, you can find everything you need. I'm talking music, photos, interviews, the whole 9 yards at richardtylerpollard.com. It's all there. Check them out. And we mentioned, of course, One more time, the show's coming up September 20th, Middle East Upstairs. October 4th, the Shaskeen. If you're in the area, go to these shows, check out this band. You will not regret it. I'm your host, Max Bowen.
And I'm Curtis Hughes.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.
And with that, we bring this episode to a close. Thanks for listening, and if you haven't already, check us out on Facebook under Citywide Blackout, and Twitter and Instagram under Citywide Max. You can catch this and all your favorite episodes on your favorite podcast platform, and new episodes are added every week, as well as on Boston Free Radio every Saturday at 10 p.m. You get at me at citywidemax@yahoo.com if you want to suggest a guest, submit your music, or just drop us a line. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.